What book? Xilian asked. Hua Cheng asked back, What do you think? Xilian could practically imagine just how his brow was raised and how his lips were curled when he asked this question. So what could he say to that? Hua Cheng continued. Speaking of which, Gurga still owes me for quite a bit of spiritual power. Am I wrong? No, Xilian replied cautiously. Then has Gurga thought of how you'll repay me? Hua Cheng asked. Not really, Xilian said. Hua Cheng seemed to have sniffed a laugh. Since you haven't thought of anything, then why don't you let me decide? After this affair is over and done with, and you have your vacation, Gurga can take his time to pay me back for everything. How's that sound? Xilian was defending against his attacks while sneaking glimpses at Junwu like a guilty thief at the same time. He answered randomly, Oh, yeah. After guiding him slyly to this point step by step and receiving the answer he wanted to hear, Hua Cheng was finally pleased and satisfied and temporarily let him off the hook. And so, it's so rare for Gurga to seek me out through spiritual communication. What is it? Junwu eyed Xilian. The reason he allowed Xilian to communicate with Hua Cheng was to hold Hua Cheng down and make him think that nothing was wrong, to make him stay obediently down in the lower realm. Of course, Xilian knew what kind of answer Junwu wanted to hear. So he replied slowly, Actually, it's not really anything. I was just afraid that, having been gone for so long, you'd worry. Hua Cheng wondered. Didn't Gurga say so yourself? You haven't even been gone for 2 hours, so why would you worry that I'd worry? Xilian was getting dizzy from going around in circles with him, feeling a little anxious, but also a little funny. Suddenly, Hua Cheng said, Oh, I get it. Xilian's breath hitched. What did you get? There seemed to be a bit of light laughter on the other end. A moment later, Hua Cheng replied leisurely, Gurga, maybe it's you who missed me so much after separating for only so long. Xilian was speechless. If before Xilian could still cover things up with vacuity, then this line was truly too honest and exposed, and he couldn't pretend to be normal at all. Under Junwu's watchful eyes, Xilian's face still grew hot. A moment later, he replied softly, Hua Cheng's voice was also soft. Me too. I really want to come up there and whisk you away. While Xilian's heart was warmed, at the same time it was strung high up, and his eyes met Junwu's. If Hua Cheng really did come to the heavenly capital, how would things end? How would Junwu handle him? Xilian suppressed his surge of emotions and did his best to sound natural. Nah, it's okay. It's a mess up here in the heavens right now. If you come, they'll probably lose their heads. Just wait a bit longer. Hua Cheng replied lazily, I understand, Gurga. I won't go up to scare them. I hate that blinding light up in the heavenly capital, and I still have to guard the circle of people here. So I'll just wait here nicely for Gurga to come back. Xilian couldn't tell if he sighed in relief or broke out in cold sweat. He said, Yes, be good. But, Hua Cheng said, if I'm going to be good, Gurga can't come back empty-handed. I need a reward. Of course, Xilian replied. Then the two said a few more casual words, ambiguous and dubious, going on and off, repeatedly bidding their farewells before the communication finally ended. Xilian huffed a breath softly, and Junwu said, It seems Shenle has been living an exciting life down below. Shilian didn't know how to answer that. After Junwu patted Shilian's shoulder, he turned around and was about to leave the palace of Shenle when Shilian called out from behind him, "My lord!" Junwu's form paused. Shilian asked, "Just who are you? Are you the emperor or something else?" It was already difficult for him to accept the truth when he suspected a connection between the Gosha and White No-Face. If Junwu and White No-Face shared a connection, then he felt as if his entire person was going to flip upside down. Junwu was the #1 martial god of the 3 realms that he both respected and looked up to, after all. Junwu didn't answer him and left propensely. Now that Shilian was left to his own devices, he brainstormed for retaliation plans as he dragged his exhausted body to the back chambers of the palace of Shenle. Although the palace of Shenle had now become a cage, it was still a beautiful cage. There was even a bathing pool made of white jade in the back hall. In recent days, Shilian had battled the white ghost, entered the kiln, crawled, tumbled, rolled, and fought, and now he was exhausted in both body and mind. He couldn't go anywhere for the next while anyway, so he might as well bathe and refresh himself. After removing his clothes and soaking in the warm waters, Shilian rested against the edge of the white jade pool, folding his clothes absent-mindedly. Suddenly, from his pile of robes, 2 little things came tumbling out, clacking crisply. Shilian looked closely, and it was 2 clever and cute little dice. He picked the 2 dice up and held them in his palm, remembering the words Hua Cheng said to him. "If you want to see me, it wouldn't matter what you roll. I will appear." However, that he had initiated a connection with Hua Cheng through spiritual communication was already largely unnatural, so perhaps Hua Cheng had noticed. But even if Hua Cheng had noticed something was wrong, he wouldn't be able to come up, since the heavenly capital was now isolated from the world, completely under Junwu's control. Even though he was well aware of the situation, and knew that even if he rolled 2 6s, he wouldn't be able to see Hua Cheng, Shilian still tried. Clack, clack. The dice rolled on top of the jade rocks next to the edge of the bathing pool. His luck was terrible as always, snake eyes. And sure enough, there was not a single stir of movement. Shilian sighed and turned around. He was just about to bury both his face and body into the water when suddenly he heard a voice. Gaga. Shilian instantly rose from the water, splooshing as the water splashed. Sanlang? Did he actually summon Hua Cheng? However, after scanning his surroundings, he didn't see the shadow of anyone. Still, that voice earlier was definitely not a hallucination caused by his hopefulness. Shilian's heart thumped when he heard another voice call out, "Your Highness!" Only then did Shilian realize that that voice had come from his own mouth. It was his own voice, only amidst the hot air of the spacious bathing pool and the sound of splashing water, the sound wasn't clear. Shilian was stunned for a moment before it dawned on him. The soul-shifting spell. Shilian was both surprised and delighted. "Lord Windmaster!" Then, from his lips came the voice of another who was overly excited. "Yes, it's me. Amazing, right? This Windmaster. No, I have spiritual powers again." Before, it had been mentioned that the soul-shifting spell wasn't used often because it exhausted spiritual powers rapidly. It was much more wicked and rare than typical spiritual communication spells, so usually concealment barriers wouldn't think to block the spell. When Shi Qingxuan lost his spiritual powers, the door that connected him to Xilian was blocked one-sidedly. Yet Xilian hadn't imagined it had come to use now. Qingxuan, the soul-shifting spell burns a lot of spiritual power. Where did you get your powers from? Xilian asked. But he soon figured it out. Where else could he get powers from? Sure enough, Shi Qingxuan replied. It's a long story. Well, it's not actually that long. That Crimson Rain sword flower of yours gave me a few black candies to eat. They're incredibly magical. My spiritual powers exploded after I ate them. Even though it's only temporary, it could still hang on for some time. Communication wouldn't be a problem. Just, the taste is really bad. He spat. Xilian couldn't help but recall the ghost essence candy that Pei Ming consumed before. But the candies from Huacheng should be high-quality spiritual power candies. Xilian asked, Who called me Gurga just now? It was me, Shi Qingxuan said. Xilian didn't know whether to laugh or to cry. Why did you call me that? And here I thought. I know, Shi Qingxuan said. You thought it was Crimson Rain Sword Flower who came seeking you, right? Xilian cleared his throat lightly, and Shi Qingxuan continued. It was him who told me to call you that. He said if I called you that, you'd know he'd come, and you'd feel better. He supposed that was true. Earlier, when he heard Gurga, while he was still surprised, he felt more so reassured. Xilian said, Is he right next to you right now? Is everything alright over at the royal capital? The resentful spirits didn't suddenly start anything, did they? Everything's fine here at the capital, Shi Qingxuan said. The resentful spirits are also still being cleaned out. It's just, earlier, when you were having your communication with Crimson Rain's sword flower, he was happily chuckling away, talking about who knows what with you 1 second. And the next, after the communication ended, his face suddenly turned so dark it was terrifying. And then he called me over to see if I could still shift my soul over to you. Oh yeah, by the way, Your Highness, he wants me to pass on this message to you. Your Highness, please dress first. He's been nagging me for a while now. What's the problem? It's not like you'd catch a cold in the heavens. Xilian was almost going to faint, and he swiftly, at the speed of lightning, grabbed a robe to wrap around himself. He, Sanlong, can see? Yeah, Shi Qingxuan replied. It's pretty annoying to keep repeating things, so I just transmitted everything I see and hear directly to him. So he knows everything that you do or say. He just can't talk to you or control your body directly, that's all. Dear Lord Windmaster, you're way too open, Xilian thought. If he'd known, he wouldn't have bathed. He thought he would have to think some more before an opportunity would show up. It's fine, Your Highness, Shi Qingxuan said. I didn't think you'd mind so much about matters like these. We're all men here. Haven't you seen Hua Chengju before? Besides, I didn't see that much anyway. He really was too open. Xilian slapped a hand on his forehead and rapidly dressed himself. Then he grabbed the dice before leaving the hall, quickly changing the subject. Sanlong, how did you discover something was wrong? After a pause, Shi Qingxuan replied. Crimson Rain Sword Flower said, the moment you sought him out, he knew. Oh, Hua Chengju wants me to tell you this. Gurga is so shy. If it wasn't anything major, why would you take the initiative to recite my verbal password? So it really was that reason. Shi Qingxuan seemed to be talking to Hua Cheng. Okay. I won't waste any more time on nonsense. we'll talk business." Then he said, "Your Highness, what exactly is the situation over there? Is the Emperor not around?" Shilin really didn't know where to start and said, "It's precisely because he's around that things turned out like this." Hearing only the key points, Shi Qingxuan was already shaken. "My God, my God, my God! Your Highness, you're not sleep-talking, are you? It's the Emperor. We're talking about the Emperor here." "I can't be sure if it's him anymore," Shilin said. "Sanlong, what do you make of all of this?" A moment later, Shi Qingxuan replied. Crimson Rain Swordflower didn't seem too surprised, and only said, "Not surprised. I already can't stand him." Shilin was speechless and choked out a laugh. "Can you not stand anyone?" That line was directed to Hua Cheng. Shi Qingxuan replied. He said, "Other than you, no." "I say, Hua Chengju, that's not very nice. I'm standing right here, you know. You can't stand me either. What's wrong with me?" All right, it's all just jokes," Shilin said. "In any case, all the martial gods have been beaten down, and every heavenly official is confined in their own palace. The entire heavenly capital is isolated from the world now, so there's no way to come to the heavens." Shi Qingxuan said. Crimson Rain Swordflower said, "There is a way to go up to the heavens, but we'll need to enlist the help of someone." "Who?" Shilin asked. But right after, he shouted, "Who is it?" The latter, "Who is it?" wasn't directed at Hua Cheng or Shi Qingxuan. It was voiced because, from behind him, there was an unusual movement. Someone had come.